it is time to talk about the best of 2025. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is going to be my best reads of 2025. Now, a little bit different to a top reads or a worst of list, because I don't really do the worst of list, just I know my reading taste pretty well by now, and I don't tend to pick up a lot of books that I objectively don't like. So I tend to leave those to the side, and in terms of like top 10s, it's just too dang hard. Again, I know my reading taste pretty well. A lot of what I read I do enjoy very much, and I would rather give a bit of nuance to the books that I pick up. So what we're doing today is I have 10 categories, which I'll give you a best book within that category for the year of 2025. Now, there's only 2 of these where I've cheated a little bit, and I have 2 books in there instead of 1, but to put it into context, I read a total of 67 books over the course of 2025, and I'll be talking about 12 of them here. Now, the first category that I have is the best beta or alpha read. Now, these may be books that are not out yet, but I have read personally and really enjoyed them at an early reader stage. One of them is out that I'll start with. This is one of the categories that I have 2 for. I did quite a few of these in 2025, and I don't always count them towards my reading goal. It depends on whether they actually release in the same year that I read them early and how far along the author was in their journey. So I did not count either of these in my reads for the year, so I guess these are reads on top of the 67 that I did put towards the challenge, but I really enjoyed them nonetheless. The first one of these you can actually go and get out now, and that is The Outsiders of Auckland by Kenneth Feller. This was such a fun book. It is just like nonsense that is super like heartfelt at the same time. It was gritty, it was violent, it dealt with some extremely deep thematics. We talk about a lot about friendship, finding oneself. There's themes of asexuality in here. There were themes of like parenting in here, otherness, and it just really packed a punch in a humorous way. This was one of the most unique and fun experiences I've had as a beta reader, and I'm really glad that I got to do this as a beta/sensitivity reader at the same time. There was some questioning of gender in there. There was a lot of talk, like I said, about that friendship dynamic and relationships in general, and I think that more people need to give this a go. If you like a little bit of humor in your thematics, because I am not someone who generally gravitates toward humor for humor's sake, but the way that the author has been able to use humor as a tool to talk about more serious things, I think is quite unique to them, and I hope more people go ahead and pick this one up. So this is quirky, it's fun, it is full of heart, and it reads super quickly. So if you want just a feel good may not be the right term. Kenneth, I'm sure you can tell me if you would describe your book as a feel-good book. But if you're looking for a good time where you want a book that doesn't take itself too seriously, but also challenges you in its themes, this is one that's going to be quite unique for that. You can go ahead and pick this one up now. The second beta read that I want to mention is a book called The Ashen Viper. This is coming out by Joseph John Lee, and it is a fucking beast. This clocks in at about 320,000 words, and it's probably the most ambitious debut I've ever read early. I had a great time with this. This is going to be for fans of things like Malazan. It's a little bit easier to get into, however, it is of the same vein where it does not hold your hand at all. You are thrown straight into this world. My favorite part about The Ashen Viper is not only its scope, which is huge, and the world building, which is fantastic, and that's my shtick. I love a good world build, but it is the library of books which you can basically collect in the footnotes. So if you are someone who likes an intelligent read with a lot of things happening at once, where you need to be switched on, your brain needs to be switched on for this book, and you are building this library, I found those footnotes to be utterly fascinating, and I don't mind footnotes. I don't like gravitate towards them. I don't generally love them. I don't generally hate them. They're just there. With this particular book and the way that they were structured and the little bits of information and the world building you got through those footnotes, they really worked for me. And I was like in my head going, how many books does this library have? This is the start to what promises to be an epic series, and I think the author is currently working on book 2. Had a fantastic time with it, very ambitious, it makes me really excited to delve into Joseph John Lee's backlog of books, because there's a whole series that I can delve into now, and it was an honor to be part of this and just had a really good time with the beta read. I don't know if a cover is up yet, but I'll put whatever I can find that is available publicly up here, and check out Joseph's Instagram page, because there are updates on there occasionally. Next up, we have my favorite debut of 2025, and I was really going through my list because I didn't read a hell of a lot of debuts this year, and every single debut that I read was like a hit for me. But I think I'm going to have to give this one to Kavithri by Aman J. Bedi. Bedi, apologize for the pronunciation. This is like the underdog of underdog tales, following this young girl who, like, all of her hopes are just so dashed. She is looked down upon in this really classist system, and she is at the bottom of the bottom, but she refuses to accept that for herself. Kavithri is the tale of this girl who just won't give up, and we see her fight, becoming super powerful. I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but we see her build herself from the ground up, and it is so inspiring for this young woman to come up through the ranks. Oh girl, really, I think she's only in her late teens, come up through the ranks to become who she is at the end of this book. She is thrown down time and time again, and she just refuses. I think the tagline is something along the lines of, "They wanted my blood, so I'll give them my blood," and she is ready. I cannot wait to read book 2, which is City of Jackals. I have been waiting for the audio to come out because I really enjoyed Kavithri on audio. The author was kind enough to send me a copy of this in e-format, and I cannot wait to pick it up again. Next up, we have a category that I don't know that I've had in here before. Maybe I have. No one quote me on this. That is the best horror read of 2025. I picked up a lot more outside of my horrors in my comfort zone. I picked a lot more variety of genres up in 2025, and horror was one of them, where I ended up reading quite a few horror books, and I didn't realize it until I was looking at, the list of things that I had read over the course of the year. My best horror read of 2025 is going to, it almost was a toss-up, but I have chosen one here. That is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This book, I don't like a haunted house tale. Well, that's unfair. I don't often gravitate towards a haunted house tale. I think some of the tropes in there can often be annoying to me, and it can be quite predictable. I'm not saying that this haunted house tale wasn't predictable in that same sense, but what Shirley Jackson did was create an atmosphere, and I think if you can get the atmosphere down pat and just something that feels slightly off in the house or the people who are in the house, then I'm going to be much more invested, and this certainly had that aspect. We are following a doctor who has put a call out in the newspaper to say, hey, I'm spending a summer at this house to investigate if there's actually anything paranormal here. I kind of want to disprove it. And we have a number of characters who go into the house with him to go through, to live there and report any findings that they come up against. As we enter the town, I remember the character, I think it was Eleonora, who just stole the show for me. Her anxiety rippled through the page and out to me as I was listening to this book. Again, I did this one on audio, and she was such a fascinating character to watch unravel. I had a very good time with this. I do want to read Shirley Jackson's other works because I trust her to be able to tell a good story. This one wasn't overly scary, but it definitely had that atmosphere which made me feel a little bit unsettled, and I thought it was fantastic. Another thing which surprised me for 2025 is I read a few classics, and they all pretty much shocked me with how much I enjoyed them. It definitely made me say, hey, maybe I should go back and read some classics now. I'm a little bit more well-read, and I can keep up with whatever is going on. So I did put a category in here, which was the best classic of 2025. And that one has to go, this is the complete collection, but that one has to go to Jane Austen with Pride and Prejudice. I loved Pride and Prejudice. I had a friend a very long time ago, we're no longer in contact, just circumstantially, and he would read this every year. And I was like, why are you reading the same book every year? He loved it. He'd read it every year. And I was like, okay, I get it. I get it now. It is utterly delightful. I still think the parents, Mr. and Mrs. Bennet, are some of my favourite characters I've ever read, and a favourite character dynamic that I've ever read. But this was just delightful. This is quite heavy, so I'm going to put it down. But I am looking forward to potentially reading more Jane Austen in the future. I'm hoping to squeeze in another one or two during 2026. But that was just fantastic. I had a great time with it. The next category is another one that I do have 2 entries for because I can't not put one of them on here, but at the same time there was one that I enjoyed more. So I just put them both on there because it's my list and I made the rules. So the one that I couldn't not put on the list is The Crippled God by Steven Erikson. This book really tied in the Malazan Book of the Fallen for me in a way that I was kind of expecting and kind of not. We saw more battle in this book than we have previously, where the conversations just sort of started to hit home. It brought in so many elements from the other books, and you could really see the dedication to making an epic conclusion here. So I had a fantastic time. I cannot talk about this book without going into spoiler territory. We are at a book 10. It made me go, hell yeah, I want to pick up more from this world and pick up the novels of the Malazan novels of the Malazan Empire. I don't know what they're called, by Ian C. Esselmont, and continue my journey here. This was also the book that goes, oh, right, you do have to reread them to get more out of it. And I can absolutely see the value of rereading this series. Not quite yet. I'm not ready quite yet to delve in and do a reread, but it certainly was a fantastic ending to an epic series. The other one that I have for this category, which was best sequel, is Labyrinth's Heart by M.A. Carrick. So both of these are series concluders. This series is so fantastic. This utterly lush, beautiful Venetian setting, the layers upon layers of character and plot threads, it's so intricate, and M.A. Carrick has done a fantastic job of bringing it home with Labyrinth's Heart. I think this has definitely made its way into one of my top 10 series of all time. Again, I can certainly see reread appeal for the entire series, and I'm looking forward to doing so. I don't think I need to wait as long to reread this one as I do with something like Malazan, but I found this utterly fantastic. I cannot praise it more. Go and read it if you haven't. If you like intricate political fantasy with beautiful lush prose and a gorgeous setting that just jumps off the page at you, then the Rook and Rose series is going to be for you. It's just fantastic. Next up, we have a book that I can't stop thinking about, and this may have been my first read of the year, if not very close to my first read of the year, and I still catch myself thinking about parts of this book, and it's a tiny little novella called The Genesis of Change by Olivia J. Elliott. This is dealing with godlike thematics and how far you can push humanity. And I remember very clearly, and I've mentioned it on here before, having to go and stare at a wall for like 10 minutes after finishing this. I still feel the need to stare at a wall just thinking about it. It has stuck with me. I am very much looking forward to the first novel in this series, and I probably will reread this one again. Not anytime soon, but at some point in the future, I can definitely see reread value in The Genesis of Change. Olivia J. Elliott has certainly become one of my favourite authors. If I want something philosophical that's going to make me feel things deeply, and The Genesis of Change certainly did that for me. Next up, we have the most surprising read of 2025, and I have to give this one, and very likely if I was going to do a book of the year, it would also be this book, and that is City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. I don't know what to tell you. This book knocked my socks off. I was so blown away by how enjoyable Vivian Morris's story was, and just seeing the world through her lens. This is like a romantic historical fiction contemporary book. It's out of my wheelhouse except for the historical fiction aspect of it. I listened to it. The narrator was fantastic. The authorial voice, or the narrative voice of Vivian Morris, our main character, as we follow her through a very colourful life from the 1920s up until relatively present day, when she is a much older woman telling her story in retrospect back to the reader. I thought this was delightful. I thought all of the characters, whether they were main characters or side characters, held their own. I thought the vivid detail of the atmosphere that we were in 1920s New York, right through World War II, and then sort of ending in the 2000s, was just utterly enamoring. And I can certainly see the value in rereading this one. This feels like the ultimate comfort read, and something that I would put on in the background if I just want to have a bit of fun and need a bit of a break. I can certainly see myself doing that time and time again. I just wanted more time with our main character, Vivian Morris. when the book ended, I was like, no, what is that? I need 100 more pages of this woman. So had a really good time with that one as well. Next up, we have my most recommended book of 2025. Now, I'm saying this as I have recommended it to other people to read the most, and that would have to be The Legend of by Aaron N. Hall. The second one is coming out. I'm super excited. Again, not something that's generally in my wheelhouse because this is YA adventure fantasy, but there's something about Aaron Hall's writing where I just love it. It is accessible, it is funny, and again, not a guy who generally goes towards humor. This is very much a clean, classic fantasy tale of a young lad who wants to prove himself. So his dad is really well off, and he's basically about to get knighted just because his dad has been knighted, and they want to give this young boy the knighthood as an excuse to re-knight the father. And he goes, you know what, no, I'm going to go and earn this title because I don't want to just play off my father's success. I'm going to go and become a legend. And he just goes on this whimsical little adventure with a group of people, and it's so much fun. And I've recommended this many times this year. I even bought a copy for a workmate of mine who has a kid around this age range, and I'll probably get them book 2 as well as myself when it comes out later in the year. I had a great time with it. I recommend this one. If you want something that is just light and delightful and has really fun themes of friendship that are friendly to younger audiences, then give The Legend of a go. Coming up to the last 2 categories, I have my favourite author discovery of 2025, and this would probably have to go to an author called Adam Bassett. I read Digital Extremities and also Animus Paradox. I'll put the covers up here, which were both cyberpunk. One was more of a cyberpunk thriller, and one was like a collection of stories in the cyberpunk realm. Adam is also just a person who I've come to respect a hell of a lot in the last 12 months or so, and I feel quite privileged to have been able to speak to him. And he's super intelligent. He knows a lot about fantasy maps. You should probably watch out for a book about that in 2026 that's coming out. I've kickstarted it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that entails. He has a lot of knowledge about writing programs and how people use them. He's an advocate for things like Campfire. Just really fantastic. I'm very happy to have interacted with him in the past 12 months, and I like his books, which is just a bonus, and he's got 2 coming out in 2026. And the last category I have here is a favorite animal companion. I am a sucker for an animal companion, and just because I wasn't putting 2 of the same book on this list, because it probably would be Mr. Peabody from Rook and Rose, Little Spider, love it, Chef Kiss, one of my favorite animal companions I've ever come across. But we're not doing 2 from the same book or the same series. I'm going to go with Wendy from Ice Station. Wendy is a little seal that gets... This was like one of the fastest paced books that I've ever read. I did get the shits with the repetition in this book, but Wendy was absolutely delightful. Wendy is a little seal who helps people escape from the orcas or the killer whales numerous times, and she is just delightful, like whimsical little seal in amongst absolute fucking chaos. I had a great time with Wendy. This is a series that I will continue. I think there's only 2 other books in the Shane Schofield series, I think it is, and these are really good. Like, I know people hate the term palate cleansers sometimes, but that is what they are to me. They are just action books. If you jump into a Matthew Riley book, you know exactly what you're getting. It is going to be action heavy. They are quite formulaic, but sometimes that is not a bad thing. They're generally 3-star reads for me, but Wendy probably put it up just a 1/2 star for me because she was just delightful. Those were my best of books for 2025. What were your favorite reads for the year? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this content, give it one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.